And we're live.
Bam. Hello.
Bam! Hello!
Hello. How's it going?
If you're wondering why is he standing there in the corner, I also don't know.
Well, I'm about to tell you. I was actually planning to record in front of my computer like normal people, but then my entire family decided to come by. So now I'm up here in my old sister's room, put some of my Pokemon stuff up there, and yeah, I'm recording from here today.
Yes, and as you can see, my background is a bit dark, but it's okay. We're living with it. We're gonna play with it. It's gonna be fine.
I'm really excited for today's topic, actually, because we're going to talk about Pokemon bad guys. Evil teams, evil leaders, both main and side games, maybe. I don't know. Depends on the time.
We'll see how far we go, yeah.
Well, first things first.
First things
Gen
first.
1.
No, not Gen 1. First things first, who thought of this topic?
Who thought of this topic? Well, not me.
Not me neither.
Not you. Then who?
It was my girlfriend, of course.
Woo!
So, all the props goes to her.
Nice.
She's celebrating in the background. So yes, Max, kick
Pokemon
off.
bad guys. Generation 1. The very first Pokemon bad guys. That would
Professor
be Team
Oak!
Rocket. Huh?
I believe there was like a thing that they also wanted to make Professor Oak battleable, that you could battle him, but they never implemented that part. But technically, you could have battled him.
Well, yeah, there's battle data for Oak in the Gen 1 games. His party is fully programmed, and if you can actually trigger the battle, you can actually battle him.
Yes.
And looking at the levels, you most likely would have fought him after becoming the league champion. And he uses the one starter you and Green don't pick.
Exactly.
That's pretty interesting.
But yes, the real bad guys are.
Well, Team Rocket, of course.
Yes, in the manga, actually, not only Team Rocket, but also most of the gym leaders are bad guys as well.
Well, aren't most of the gym leaders actually in Team Rocket in the manga?
Yes. I think the first one you meet is Koga.
Yeah, Koga and Sabrina, from the top of my head, and Blaine are in the Team Rocket, I think.
Yeah, something like that. So, yeah, Team Rocket is pretty big, actually. It's a big organization. They spread out to two of the areas that you visit, Kanto and Johto. So
Yeah.
it's pretty badass, actually. And also they come back in Alola again.
They come back in Alola. They show up in the Gen 3 remakes on the Sevi Islands.
Yep.
You run into one of their foreign grunts in Gen 4 in Heart Gold Soul Silver, and then you run into him again in Black and White, and he's like, "Nah, man, I wanted to restart Team Rocket here, but nah, man, I got married and I got kids, and nah, it's not happening."
What do you think of the organization of the bad guys in particular, like how they are moving around? Because they really act like bad guys.
What I like about Team Rocket is that, like, unlike the teams that they would later create, like Aqua, Magma, Galactic, and stuff, Team Rocket doesn't care about anything but making money and getting world domination. It's really basic, but they do it really well, especially if you see the Gen 1 sprites. Like the grunts, they wear whips. So, like, they can whip their Pokemon into submission if they don't listen. And for Gen 3, they decided to get those whips out of there because it's not really PETA-friendly instrument to become leader of the world, in a sense.
Yes, because you don't know who. If you started playing the game, you don't know who the real bad guy is until you get to a certain point. In Celadon, I think. So you meet Giovanni in Celadon. You meet him.
No, you meet him in Saffron in the Silphco takeover. I think that's it.
No, first Celadon. Because you first
Celadon? Really?
Yeah, first you need to get in there to get the Sylph thing to go to the tower.
Yeah, but that's Saffron. You're talking about the Silphco takeover. That's in Saffron City.
Was it not
Celadon
Celadon?
is where
Where
I
Erica
think
is, right?
a house gets burgled by a Team Rocket grunt, and there's like an officer outside.
Are we changing it now? I think Saffron was where Sabrina is.
Yeah, but it's also where where Silphco is.
Yes, but you don't go to Silphco first. You go to the game corner.
Yeah, but
That's
wait,
how that's how I play at
wait,
least.
oh yes, you're right. We go to Celadon first for the game corner on the underground base. But do you actually meet Giovanni there?
Yes, I think you meet him there. You meet him in the
I
game corner
thought.
first because he
Okay, well,
has
I
like a
thought the
team of
first time
three,
was Saffron.
I think. But that doesn't matter. You meet Team Rocket there.
Yeah. You meet Team Rocket there for the very first time, and it becomes already very apparent that Team Rocket's tendrils stretch very far. Like, unlike the teams from the later games, Team Rocket's actually trying to keep things down low. Like,
Yeah.
the Celadon Game Corner is one huge gold scam, pretty much. Like, it's one big money scam, and the only way you find out is because one of the grunts says that the poster's absolutely not suspicious and you should not touch it.
No, there
And then
is
you
not a
touch it,
button there.
and then you touch it, and then suddenly a stairway opens.
Exactly. Because even if you compare this team to other teams in the future, they are not as sparkly or colorful or whatever. They're just black. They
Yeah,
wear
but
black clothing.
they're just criminals. Like
They're
that's just
real
what they are.
criminals.
In the Japanese version, the teams are called Dan. So they're like the Rocket Dan, so the Rocket Gang instead of Team Rocket. So that already like I think that's something that the English version kind of missed because Team Rocket sounds way less bad than like an actual gang,
Yeah,
criminal
because,
gang.
as a child, you're watching it, it's like, oh, they're talking about gangs? Mm.
Yeah, okay, maybe 5-year-old me wouldn't really, I don't know, could not appreciate the whole Rocket Gang thing in
At
the
least they
first
didn't do
game.
gang signs. That will be bad.
But we run into Team Rocket again in the Ghost Tower where they kill a Marowak. Um, on on purpose or on accident, who knows?
We never know.
Yeah, we don't get to find out. And then we find Team Rocket again in Saffron, less than like 50 minutes later, because they've taken over the Silphco building.
I think they were already doing that, but you couldn't go to Saffron yet. Because, of course,
Right.
plotline.
You can only go to Saffron because you can't go to Saffron because the guard is very thirsty, and you need tea. And I didn't know where to find that when I was like 5, and I couldn't really read English yet.
No.
So I think I spent hours checking every NPC in every house. Like there has to be a way to get in here,
And
but
suddenly there's a grandma with tea sitting in a building in Celadon, just chilling
yeah,
there.
but she's chilling off the main road in an apartment building, which is like there's no reason for me to go in there.
Also, free
But
Eevee.
yeah,
Same building, free Eevee.
they hit that pretty well. Yeah, so they go to we go to Silphco, we kick out Team Rocket, where they try to take Silphco for ransom, and we find Giovanni much later as the Vermilion gym leader.
Spoiler alert.
Don't know if I'm saying that right.
Vermilion?
I think it's Vermilion.
No, that's Luton Surge.
Oh man, all these colors they throw me off.
Viridian City.
Viridian City. That's right. Very first city. Gym's closed, and it turns out that Giovanni is not just leader of Team Rocket; he's also the 8th gym leader. And after you beat him, he decides that Team Rocket has no reason to exist if he himself cannot defend its right to exist.
Yeah.
So he dissolves it and goes into hidden training. Secret training, I should say.
And then in the second games, they try to find him. That's why Team Rocket is taking over the radio tower.
Right.
in Goldenrod because they want to find their leader. Because without their leader, they're nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Near the start of the Gold and Silver games, you run into them a few times. They take over the Slowpoke well, for example, because they want to cut off the Slowpoke tails and sell them.
Make money.
Because apparently Slowpoke tails are a delicacy. Um, yeah, we run into. I mean, in the second games, they're unnamed, but in the fourth generation remakes, all the admins actually get names. So we run into Proton first
I don't
at
remember.
the Slowpoke well.
I don't remember the names.
Well,
I didn't care. I was like, oh, Team Rocket. Yeah, okay, cool. Bye.
well, the main reason I remember is because Hard Gold is my go-to game to go back to. Like I think I've played through it like 7 times. Yeah, so we run into Proton, I think, first. And he's like, nah, man, there's nothing suspicious here. We're just going to leave you alone, and then you're never going to run into us again. And then just a little later, we run into him again in Goldenrod this time. Ain't that right? Yeah, it is.
They're hanging around there, yeah. They haven't taken over yet, but they're hanging around there.
Yeah, they're hanging around, and you can find them in the underground, where you can also visit some beauticians, I think, where you can get friendship points for your Pokemon. And this is where we run into Adriana, Petrol. Yeah, Adriana and Petrol, the other two main admins. But yeah, Team Rocket's role in these games are actually rather small because they only show up in, I think it's like 3 separate spots. And in the first place, which would be the radio tower, you defeat... What's his name again? You defeat the last admin, anyhow. You defeat the last admin. He dissolves Team Rocket because they couldn't find Giovanni in time. And that's it. Team Rocket's dissolved, and they don't really show up again.
Also, you learn that Silver, your rival in Gold and Silver, is the kid of Giovanni, but you learn it in the remakes, not in the original ones. On the original ones,
Well,
he's just a brat that hates Team Rocket somehow.
in Gen 2, it is implied, but not really confirmed. But then in a Gen 4 downloadable extra, you actually go back in time with Celebi's help, and you see Giovanni abandoning Silver, which is why Silver grows up to hate Team Rocket so much.
Yep.
You also get to fight Giovanni again, and his Pokemon are, ironically, lower leveled than when you last fought him in the first Gen 1 games, or the Gen 3 games. So yeah, he's like penduling backwards, you know, getting those levels out instead of in.
That's a weird training you got there, buddy.
Yeah, I don't know. I really what I thought was a real shame was that they put this they put this Giovanni side story behind DLC, so I think a lot of people didn't get to see it, didn't get to play it at first, because you needed an event Celebi to trigger it. And at first I read about it online, and it's only because I used an R4 card that I actually managed. Illegal, actually, that I managed to like unlock the event for me, because I live in the Netherlands and we have I don't think we've ever had any events in this country outside of Darkrai that you could get on Pokemon Day,
Yeah,
which was
something
held
like-
only once.
Yeah, I never got that one.
Not same. So yeah, in Gen 4, which would be nice to add, you actually, in the post-game, you can run into another Grunt in Kanto. You run into him in Cerulean. I think that's it. I think you run into him in Cerulean City, and he's talking about rebuilding and reviving Team Rocket. But then you run into him in Gen 5 in Icarus City, I believe, where he moved. And he's talking about, like, yeah, at first I was a Team Rocket grunt, but then I got married, and nah, man, no, life just passed me by, you know? I didn't really get to it.
Yeah, we should start Team Rocket again.
But I don't know, I really liked Team Rocket. Like, the whole larger-than-life origin stories that Magma and Aqua and all the other later teams get. I don't know, like, it's so much of the same, where Team Rocket's just like, we don't care, we just want money. Money makes the world go around. That's what we do it for.
Well, let's
I
talk
really liked
about
it. I
the
really
other.
liked that. It was basic, and it didn't need too much introduction.
It's funny also because basically the game how you make money is battling. That's the only
Yeah.
way you can make money in that, and it's just doing the Pokemon League 500 times. Then
You can sell nuggets. You can sell nuggets. You can
sell
redo the nugget
nuggets.
grid 10,000 times, and then you can be a millionaire.
Exactly, but Team Rocket's probably the biggest and the most famous one. After that, all the teams are a bit lesser known because Magma and Aqua are like the ones. Oh, more land, more sea. And it's like,
Yeah. Well, I do have to say, I think the manga expands on Team Rocket by such a margin. It's actually really insane. And also, the anime made Team Rocket larger than it actually was in the games because Giovanni establishes that Team Rocket's active in every region, like not just Kanto, not just Johto. They're everywhere. They're like worldwide.
yeah,
Um, and in the games that really was never established. There's a nice callback to Team Rocket in Gen 5 when you are about to fight against N in N's castle, where one of the mages tells you that the only reason Team Rocket failed was because they played too openly, They didn't play down low enough, which is why they got caught and why they got defeated.
well, technically, even if they would bring Team Rocket back, they don't need Giovanni anyway. They can use any other admin that is like, you know what, I'm gonna resurrect the team and bring it back. I mean, it's still effective. It's how many 10-year-olds have half gods in their team, sort of God himself.
Yeah. But as you said, in Gen 7, in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, they bring Team Rocket back one more time, as Team Rainbow Rocket, and Giovanni's managed to gain control over time and timelines. So he
No,
creates
I think it's a
a
time.
new Team Rocket where he recruits every single evil team leader that you fought before.
Yeah,
But
but it's
they
like a different
succeeded.
timeline. I think it's like, oh, it's all the timelines where the bad guy won, and not your
Yeah,
main character, right?
yeah,
So they
exactly.
also don't know you, and it's like, oh, there's another guy who used to fight like who just looked like you or whatever. It's like, oh, I wonder who that was.
They're all like, "Oh, you remind me of someone.
Stuff
I
like
don't
that.
know what you look like, but you remind me of someone." I'm like, "Yeah, of course." I mean, which I find pretty funny is in Violet and Scarlet, when you're near your school, there's this fortune teller, and she can tell your previous lives, And if you have save data from older games, which is like Sword and Shield and Legends Arceus, yeah, I can see that long ago you lived in this and this region. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's pretty cool, but it's really lame that they never did anything like that before.
Yeah, they could have done like a crossover or whatever. Like all those characters are characters, right? So in some games, some characters in the first game come back in the second game, but older.
Yeah.
Like the gym leads from Kanto, they come back, stuff
I
like
really
that.
don't want to get into the whole timeline tree theory because I've seen the YouTube rabbit hole that is Pokemon timelines, and people take it way too seriously, and I don't want to step on anyone's toes, so I'd rather just skip it.
No, for
Um,
sure. But the thing, what I meant with that is like at least they can tie some games together. Like,
yeah.
oh, we made Generation 10. Oh, the main character from Generation 10 is an NPC in Generation 11 or something like that. Just to
Yeah,
bring
something like that.
just a callback, or even oh yeah, a previous champion came through here from this region, whatever.
I mean, they didn't. I mean, they've kind of done this before. I mean, Red is in Gen 2, Gen 4. We run
7.
into Red a lot in most of the games. Actually, there's
Yes,
Cynthia, which we run into in like 3 different regions, I think.
yes, but it's like also the bad teams. Like eventually they stopped actually caring about the bad teams. They made like, oh, school delinquents in Scarlet and Violet. It's
Yeah.
like, really.
I mean, I do. I do like the fact that they tried something different because the evil teams got really boring. But lately, with the last few generations, they've actually taken a really like fun approach to the whole teams. Like Team Skull, one of my personal favorites. Instead of like this big evil megacorp, it's like 8 guys in Guzma, and and they're like, oh, bruh, I've lost against you 5 times already. Fuck this! I'm not gonna fight against you. Just pass by, bruh. This isn't worth the time.
Yeah,
I mean, I really like
that
that.
was fun, but things like at least just bring like, oh, we haven't used Team Rocket in a while. Bring them back for like another reason or something, you know?
I mean, Team Rocket will always be the evil team, in my personal opinion, because I mean, especially in Gen 7, Maxi and Archie from Aqua and Magma get this redemption post game, and I'm like, so yeah, but they're and apparently Archie met Jirachi like when he was a kid, apparently. So I don't know. They're like redeeming all these characters, they're redeeming all these teams where Team Rocket's just evil. Like they're just bad. There's no redeeming qualities about them.
They don't care. They just don't
Yeah,
care.
exactly. They don't care. But I think that's enough on Team Rocket. We're going to Gen 3 now, which would be Aqua and Magma.
More land, more sea.
More land, more sea, and then there's Emerald, where we get to fight against both of them at the same time.
But also, like, it's weird. Like, if you think of Aqua, like, they choose a region which is 90% water, and they want more water.
I mean, it's already 70% water, and I mean, the world landmass in general on Earth is already like a 66 to 33. Yeah. I don't know. I've always thought it was a really. I mean, I do get it. Like, there's land and there's sea and there's not much else, you know? I mean, you can't really fight for more air or more space in that sense.
Rayquaza has air. That's the thing.
Yeah. And in the Ruby and Sapphire games, like the other team, the one team you would not fight, they would be good guys. And apparently they're known all across the region for performing good deeds. And I'm like, but that's so weird. I would rather just not see them than have this convoluted plot in here, which luckily in Emerald they ditched, and they decided to just make them both evil.
Basically, they're just, you know, those hippies who are fighting, hugging trees and shit like that. Those are Team Magma and Aqua, basically. They're just hugging water, hugging ground.
So
they're not really
Kumbaya
interesting.
Tree, you know, Kumbaya, Kyogre, please create some more water.
Also, Kyogre versus Groudon, like, really, water against ground, that's an easy win.
Yeah, I don't know. I really do like how in Emerald they expanded on everything. You could get every legendary. You could they would have this show off in Sootopolis in the water, and I'm like, but Groudon's never gonna win this. This guy's just a ground type, you know.
Also, the remakes Mega Evolution.
Yeah,
that's pretty badass.
I mean, the Mega Evolution actually gives Groudon a way bigger edge because he can deny weather effects now.
Yes.
And he could just insta-solar beam Kyogre's ass for some fried shrimp, you know? I mean, the remakes actually did real justice to making Kyogre and Groudon larger than life, especially with Rayquaza as well, with his Mega Evolution. It's just really cool. But in the base games, I don't know, it always felt like something was missing in Sapphire and Ruby. I don't know, I couldn't put my finger on it because I was only like 8 at that time. But I don't know, Emerald came out and it just made the entire block 10 times better.
I was playing on emulator at that time already. I didn't have an advance. I did not have a Game of Advance. I had a Game of Color with Gold and Pokemon Green in Chinese, because
nice.
In Chinese, because a colleague of my mom went to China and bought it. I'm Vietnamese, so I don't speak or read or understand any Chinese. So for me, it was literally like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then I got gold, so I played more gold than green. So yeah, I'll play those games later on emulator because I was too poor to buy a new Game Boy.
But I do like how they injected Aqua and Magma in the story. Like they like both the teams got like 3 different spots where you could meet them and like get them to stop their evil plans and stuff.
Well, it starts with the Puchiana.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Stealing the Devon goods.
Everyone gets a Poochyena. You get a Poochyena, and you get a Poochyena, and everyone gets some Idiana after the mid game. I think.
It's a pretty cool Pokemon, but I feel it's a bit sad that they just gave to the bad team. It's like, oh, now it's a bad Pokemon. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it's a pretty good Pokemon if you use it. I never use it
I
actually.
mean, not to speak about Pokemon saturation. I mean, it felt really boring that every Magma Grunt had a Numel, every Aqua Grunt had a Carvana, and maybe if you were lucky, they would have a Zubat and or a Poochyena. It was the same three Pokemon on every single grunt in these games, and it
But
was I don't know, it
it's the
was
same.
really.
It was the same with Team Rocket. Like every
I
Rocket
mean,
Grunt
it
had
was
a
the same on
Rattata
Team
or a
Rocket.
Zubat.
Team Rocket was one, but Team Rocket was one team. These were two teams, and they shared 2 out of 3 of the Pokemon that they would use. That's
Yeah,
my main gripe. That's my
yeah,
main
they should
gripe.
have fixed that. But you know, I think that's the only thing I can really talk about these two teams because they didn't do much.
Yeah, I mean, I mean,
Oh, I
their
use a
plot.
red orb on Kyogre because I'm
Yeah,
stupid.
yeah. I don't know the orb side story. I thought was pretty interesting because it was the main way to control these Pokemon. But the orbs are only introduced at Mount Pyre, which is in near Lilycove, which is 2 gym badges before the end. You know, I don't know. It felt really late. I think I'm gonna go a little off topic here, but I really like how they kind of learned from this by in Gen 4 already introducing the 3 river lake spirits. They introduced them at the very start of the game, but you can't find them, you can't see them because they're elusive, mysterious. You know.
Yeah,
I think that was a really nice touch, and like introducing this Deus Ex Machina in the red and blue orbs. It felt really convoluted and kind of boring.
it is. Also, for me, Gen 4, I didn't really play as much, so that team, I totally forgot that they existed. I just totally
I don't know.
forgot.
I actually
Because
liked.
N was a really cool character and Genesis, but like the grunts, I just didn't care. I just walked through them like there was nothing.
Oh wait, are we talking Gen 4 or Gen 5 now? Because you mentioned N and Getsus, but that's Gen 5.
All right, that's five. Now four, I totally forgot actually, because four, I just like I don't know who you are. I just go through the story.
Well, actually, in Gen 4, Team Galactic actually gave me a
Oh,
lot of Team
just a moment.
Rocket-esque vibes in
Yeah.
these games. I mean, Cyrus is a no emotions, no scruple kind of figure. You know, he wants to remake the world in his image, which I thought was
Yeah,
an amazing, larger than life objective, and he almost manages to do it. You know.
but it's funny
Um,
because also in the Legends game, yeah, you meet the Galactic team, right? And they're like the good guys. So it's like the reverse. I like that
yeah.
I played with that because it's always the same bad guys, bad guys, bad guys. Like, oh no, we're actually good guys. You're working for the
Yeah.
that team.
Yeah, I mean, the Galactic team in my like head canon is a. I mean, of course, it retcons the whole thing, you know, because I think in the original Pearl and Diamond, it's established that Cyrus found Team Galactic and nothing existed before. But they kind of they retconned that with the Legend Arceus game, which can be okay. I mean, Arceus probably just corrupted the sect that was the Galactic team to do his bidding, because at first they
Or
were good guys.
or they the team stopped existing in ages ago and he just did research and just renamed it after it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We're probably never gonna find out. I don't think Game Freak finds this interesting enough to actually answer for us.
Yeah, because the teams in Gen 4 and Gen 5, I think for me, I always, like I said, like I just did, like I always switch them up a bit because for me it's like it's kind of the same idea. It's like, oh, we want some higher being Pokemon, and I was like, okay, yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen this
it's from
before.
here. It's from here that these teams become really legendary focused. And I think until Team Skull, it's all the same. Like they just want
X or Y too,
X
yeah.
legendary Pokemon to do X thing, and it became really boring from that point.
Yeah, it's the same. I think we can, because we also almost running out of time as well. We can just go through the other teams really fast. Like,
I
Um,
mean, we could finish with Galactic and do an actual other video starting from Gen 5 because I do think that Black and White 2, I do think that that gee, what are they called again? Team Plasma? Team Plasma. I think they actually require kind of a lot of time because they make a huge shift in the first and the second pair of games.
yeah, that's true. They make a shift for sure. I think they're also pretty interesting in the second game more than the first game for me, because you have two sides. That's the fun part. Like, oh,
Yeah,
we're Neoplasma, I think, something like that. Was
yeah,
Neoplasma?
they're Neoplasma, and instead of medieval knights, they look like pirates. But not just normal pirates, they're high-tech pirates, and they actually use good Pokemon. And they have the Shadow Triad, they've got 3 Shadow Assassins on their team. I don't know, I thought Plasma was a really cool team, especially when in the second, you run into a couple of the first sect of the team. You run into them in Driftveil City, I think, and they're like, yeah, we split off because we still follow our Lord N, and the new ones are infidels, and they must be extinguished.
Yeah, it's a bit extreme.
um, yeah, I don't know. I really like Team Plasma, especially the second half in Black and White too.
Yeah, I think we can make a two-episoder about this because if I think correctly, like after X and Y, after Lysander, in that Team Skull is not much to talk about really. That's more like the Ether Foundation, and from there,
I mean, the Ether Foundation is only bad in one of the Gen 8 games. I mean, it's only in the first two that they're bad, and like Ultra Sun,
seven.
Ultra Moon. Luzamine is actually good, and she's like, "Oh, there's no way I could do this to hurt these innocent Pokemon, but maybe in a different world I could have." Like they're hinting so bad, and I really liked I really like that.
Yes.
They also do this in the Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire games, where again you run into if you play Sapphire, you run into Team Aqua, and then but the Team Magma are the good guys, and in the post game they're actually saying, "I'm sure that in a different world our roles would have been reversed." Nah, that's preposterous. That's impossible. I don't know. It's so obvious. I really like this. I really like this sort
Yeah.
of stuff. I really like these sort of things.
Like if I think really fast, like Sword and Shield were Team Yao. They were only hooligans. They're
Yeah,
basically
I mean
hooligans.
they were literally, yeah, we're the guys you don't want to run into after Arsenal loses. But they weren't really an evil team in that sense. But it's the same with Team Star. They're just a couple of guys that banded together against bullies, and now and in the sense of having this power of being a huge group, they became bullies themselves.
Okay, so let's finish this episode off with this question I have for you, Max.
Sure.
Which if you put all the teams together to fight each other one on one, I mean all the leaders, which one will win and
Leaders.
why?
I actually, oh, Jesus. I actually think that Polres and Orgetsis from Gen 5 have the best chance because I by far think they have the best team out of any of of these bosses. Because Giovanni only has ground Pokemon. He gets hard capped by Maxi. There's or by Archie, I should say. I don't know. Guzma is also a really strong trainer, especially after he ditches his team and decided to become a Pokemon trainer again. He actually becomes really strong. I don't know. I think there's a group of guys you could group together. Like these could be good, and then there's these would be bad. These guys have no chance. I think Giovanni, for example, he gets I don't know, he gets hard limited by the fact he only uses ground Pokemon. That's pretty impossible. I think Archie and Maxi, they also both only use one, maybe two types. Depending on how you see it, because Sharpedo is a dark water Pokemon, and it's like ground fire with Maxi. But Cyrus also potentially has a really good team. So I think there's like Cyrus, there's Guzma, there's Colres and Getsis. I think those four would be the. It could be any one of them, really.
Let me throw
And
let me throw
out
one.
of these,
I'll throw
Out of
one in the
three?
air. I'll throw one extra.
Okay.
Penny.
Oh yeah, sure, Penny. Oh, um, I don't know. You run into Penny, like you fight her once. I think you don't really see her growth in the whole story. Where the other leaders, you usually fight them like two
Unless
or
you
three
unless
times.
you finish the game, then you can do the tournament thing, and then you can get a random trainer. I
Yeah,
think you can
right. And
also
then
fight
maybe you
her.
can fight Penny. Yeah, okay.
But
Yeah,
just look at
I was
just
talking
looking at
mostly
the
about
team.
growth.
Just
I was
looking at a
mostly
team.
talking about growth in story.
I'm just looking at a team. Like, okay, she covering a lot of weaknesses right there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying she's a good trainer.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. I wanted to talk about trainer, like actual training ability, and it's known in the story that Guzma was a really good Pokemon trainer before he became the Team Skull leader. So, out of everyone that I've named, out of like the top four, maybe top five if you include Penny, I do think that Guzma has the most chance just because he's probably the best trainer in there.
And if you also count Lusamine as one.
Yeah, but that's kind of the thing. Like I know Lusamine loves her Pokemon, but it's the same as like Cyrus and Archie and Maxie. Maybe like you don't know how much of their Pokemon are their own, or
Right.
how much of the Pokemon are just caught for them, trained for them, and then distributed. Because it's common news that in Team Galactic, everyone gets a standard Glameow, I think, or you know, like there's Pokemon that are distributed. They're caught, somewhat
Yeah, I don't think
trained,
that
and then
matters.
distributed.
I don't think that matters because technically you can also count N still as one of the leaders of the teams.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to talk about because N is not a evil leader anymore in the second game.
In the
I
second game,
think
yes. In the first game, he
N
is.
but N doesn't catch Pokemon. N befriends Pokemon, and he doesn't catch, he doesn't train, he just befriends them and he lets them go when their purpose is fulfilled. Which is why I don't think N is a good purpose here because
N
N
is a
doesn't want
ranger.
Pokemon to fight.
N is
N
basically
doesn't
a
want
Pokemon
them to
Ranger.
fight at all.
He's a Pokemon Ranger. That's what he is.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes, he's a Pokemon Ranger in pretty much every sense of the word, and except he doesn't use the stylus thing to catch them.
So your answer is Guzma, right?
Yeah, my end take is Guzma. Yeah,
Okay. By with that, we will close this episode, and on the next episode, I'll give you mine.
yeah, sounds good.
All right. Bye bye.
Okay.
Oops.